So here we are again on day 28, and we've had a little bit of rain today, nothing much to write home about, but it's wet the ground. But you can see underneath that ground it hasn't really penetrated deep, so it's very dry still under there. It's wet the top but nothing much underneath. That is one of the issues you get with grass clippings, is that it doesn't penetrate through the grass clippings. So here's our pot number 1. This one we left alone, and interesting, look what's happening down there now. So it looks like we didn't put anything else in this, we just left it. This was the yogurt. Oh wow, look at that. Now that's full of soldier flies. See the little bugs in there? No, so still lots of decomposition going on there, but the pot's actually now filling up with soil as opposed to emptying. Now that's beautiful though. Look how soft that is, and how friable it all is. It's fantastic. You could mix it in the garden, it wouldn't matter, but it'd still be pretty strong, and those bugs will find their way out. But you know what I'm going to do now? I've got a pot that's been sitting on the sink for a week, and it's full of all kinds of greeblies. So I'm going to put that in here. And I've got some old wheat in here. I found some wheat that was infected with weevils, and in actual fact I was able to strike it. I didn't think it would work. I'll just get a little touch more water there. A few leaves in there. But this is fermented wheat now because it's been sitting in here for a while. But that's alright. So that's a pretty full pot now. We'll see how that goes. And I'm going to put this hair on top of it. I'm dying to see how long hair will take to decompose. So this is my hair. I cut it yesterday. I'm going to stick it on top. Lock the lid on. And you can see the bush turkeys still have not gone near that, which is lovely. But here we are at pot number 2. And, surprise of no surprise, the bush turkeys have dug around it again because it's just too accessible for them. So this is quite moist now, slippery. Now if you remember what was in there, this was all the tomatoes and all that fresh food we had, and it looks like it's pretty much nothing much left here now. So there's very little left there now, except of course the, oh look, little cocky, look at those big soldier flies. They're awesome. So pretty much nearly all gone, look at that, and that's, now we're into our 4th week. That little bit of pineapple, there's the fresh pineapple that I put in last week, so 7 days ago. That's the nub of it left. It looks like the rest of it is pretty much decomposed. There's a tiny little bit. Oh no, wait a bit, that was the fermented pineapple, sorry, that had been sitting in the water for a week and that had all gone mouldy. And you can see there's some little soldier flies on there and a few little cockies, but that's almost empty in there now. There's not a whole lot left in there at all, if you can see in there. So again, we'll just pop the lid on, and I'd say the bush turkeys are coming after those soldier flies more than the fermented waste, because it's the soldier flies that they like. Aside from the fresh food, of course, which they love. So let's pack that in. You can see again how dry that soil is around there. So you really need a good drenching of rain when you're using your grass clippings on top. I'll go and get some more and pack that around. And you can also see from this pile of grass clippings that I've got, very, very dry underneath that top layer. We didn't get a big downpour, so that's to be expected. So here we are, pot number 3, and this one had the fresh pineapple in it, and you can see the bush turkeys have dug around it again. But interesting. Now that's decomposed just almost not quite as fast as the other one, as the fermented one, because it had been soaking in the water for a week. So definitely soaking it in the water will make it disappear quicker. There's not much left in there. That's pretty much it. The pot's pretty much empty after that. There's still some nice little soldier flies in there. And that was the fresh pineapple, but I had dug up and buried the old compost under here somewhere. And it doesn't look like it's been touched at all by the turkeys. Here it is there. So still beautiful soil under there. That was where we buried the stuff when we emptied that last lot. So we'll pack this around again. This is very loose in the ground, this one. So here we are at pot number 4, and you can see the bush turkeys again have dug around this a little bit. Nowhere near like those other ones that are out of the ground. And this was the really dry one. So you can see we even added more wastewater to this last week, but it really needs a good help. It really needs a full-on soak of water because it's just dried out too much. Having said that, let's have a look down the bottom. That light grey coloured area looking at there is just thousands of little mites. So it's still got a long way to go, this one. And that's still really warm in there where those soldier flies are. That's quite hot. So this one is definitely slower, and this was the one that had all the old muesli bars in it, all the old nuts. It had a lot of dry contents in here that hadn't been soaked in any water. So that definitely would have benefited from soaking in water when we first put it in there. So again, I'm going to drench that in water now. See if I can't fill that up with water. And this is just water I keep out in the garden in a couple of pots for the birds, so I've combined them together. It drains out very quickly. I'll see if I can get some more. This water's quite stagnant and smelly. Lots of leaves in there. I definitely need to put some... That was quite stinky, that water. Been sitting there for too long. And you can see the bush turkeys have pushed the grass clippings over onto my little comfrey, which is not good, but it's surviving there with no help from me. I've got no water during the week because I was too busy, so thank goodness it's rained. So here we are at pot number 5, and this is my original pot. It's been in the ground for a long time. Some more glass. Now I had some wheat growing on this during the week, the same as pot number 4. Whoa, look at that. Full of soldier flies. Now this one had the old Gatorade in it and Sustagen and a lot of dry contents, and again it's filling up with little mites, which is really fascinating. Oops. So see those? I wonder if I can get close to show you that. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Thousands of little mites. But it's all good. Look at all those soldier flies. So there's still a lot of the way to go there. But pretty much that's in 28 days now, and down the bottom there it's pretty much turned to soil. See that? But there's obviously still waste to go because those soldier flies are still having a field day in there. But you could easily bury that in the ground and, you know, they'll find their way out. But for me, I'd just leave it and I'd just put more waste in on top under normal circumstances. But I'm not going to do that for this experiment. We're going to see what happens again in another 7 days. Thanks for watching.